الأولياء حبيبنا شيخ ناظم الحقاني مدد مدد شيخ ناظم الحقاني مدد مدد يا سلطان الأولياء شيخنا شيخ عبد الله الفاتح الباسل لا سوء يا سيدي مدد أبدنا مدد يا حضرتك. Allah Almighty open on our hearts what we are in need and we are most in need and benefit for us from the station of Sultan Awliya National. Okay, Sunnah also?
Before, absolutely.
Allah. آمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن شاء الله what مولانا سلطان الأولياء مولانا شيخ محمد ناظم الحقاني, what he will open and what he will give us from the oceans of divine knowledge. Inshallah we will listen to him and you listen to him, and only we are translating what he likes to tell us and to inform us, because the knowledge of awliyaullah is not like knowledge of ulama. Knowledge of ulama make you to be having or teaching how to pray, how to fast, how to complete the teaching of good behavior between the hands of Allah Almighty in your prayers and in fasting, in zakah, in all these. And this teaching also benefiting us. But nowadays also even this teaching is not benefiting anyone, because no one now is praying a real prayer, no concentration in the prayers. Always instead to pray to Allah Almighty, he is praying for his thoughts, for his desires, just saying Allahu Akbar, quickly shaitan will come and put the tape, he will play the tape in the recorder, make it to play, and then all kind of whatever, even you are not remembering of thoughts and whatever you never imagining of things will come to you, and mostly will come when you are praying and you are in between the hand of Allah Almighty. Instead of reciting the Fatiha, you recite it, but you will be going here, there, the same, reciting Holy Quran, same in Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa Hamdi, same in sujood. All the time we are missing our prayers by thinking too much about what we are going to do after the prayer. If we are busy, we have work, or we have business, we have shops, we have jobs, or we want to eat, to have lunch, like this one. Shaitan make him busy. Instead to be the prayers for Allah Almighty, it will be only for a relaxed time for your mind to have all kind of thoughts and planning what to do after the prayers, until you will reach the end of the prayer, missing how many raka'at you did. So before salam you make two sujood of sahu and you give salam. And like this our prayers, no more any benefiting of the teaching of the ulama, because no one following anymore the teaching of ulama, no more anyone following the teaching of hadith of Rasulullah, even no one now trying to memorize Holy Quran, the ayat, the holy verses. Everyone is satisfied by some small surah like Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu Rabbil Falaq, Qul A'udhu Rabbil Nas, some ayat. Say enough. No need to be memorizing the whole Quran or some of the whole Quran. It's enough for us some ayat, so we will manage to pray our prayers with them. But also the prayers of us all is also we are disturbing it. Instead to be worshipping Allah Almighty, we are worshipping our thoughts, our whatever coming into our mind from shaitan. And when making sujood, this sujood not going to Allah Almighty, but going to what you will be thinking when you are making sujood, what thoughts, what you are thinking coming to you, what thoughts coming to you, then the sujood go to them, not to Allah Almighty. Like these prayers of us in time of Sahaba, Rasulullah will order them to repeat the prayers. It will not be accepted. The prayers must be without any thought, only to be only concentrating, focusing that you are in between the hands of Allah Almighty, only the divine rights of Allah Almighty over you, and you are addressing Allah Almighty by the Fatiha, by Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdi, praising Him, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, by making sujood to Allah Almighty, at least to be thinking by to whom you are making the sujood, not to the souls going and coming. And for this also fasting, months of Ramadan for example, only what we are getting from our fasting, only we are forcing ourselves not to eat, not to drink from the azan of Subh till the azan of Maghrib. And all day we are so busy, instead to be fasting is to be Allah making 30 days or 29 days of fasting to worship Allah Almighty, to be in them busy with Allah Almighty, to spend all your time in the divine presence of Allah Almighty and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even you are going to eat nothing except dry bread or grass of the earth, you don't care. Only you care how to survive your heart and clean it and purify it by Allah dressing you sincere and real fasting to Him and make you to be cleaned by Allah Almighty. But we are making all our day of fasting in how to earn so much money to buy so nice food for the Maghrib time, and to have big dinners, big meal, big invitations, and to eat different types and kinds of food, while in time of the Sahaba and Rasulullah, they were not able to find even dates to eat. They used to eat the barley flour and not well grained with some salt, or if they found some dates, with some dates they eat, and then they drink water, and like this they used to eat in time of Rasulullah, and they use all day when they are fasting to perfect themselves by making their soul to fast to Allah Almighty, their thoughts to fast to Allah Almighty, their spiritual senses to be fasting for Allah Almighty, plus the physical senses and body. The real fasting, not the fasting only of the physical body, but the fasting of your thoughts, the fasting of your mind, the fasting of your soul, the fasting of your spiritual body to fast to Allah Almighty by your spiritual body, by your soul, by all spiritual senses of you, so that you will be then dressed by lights from Allah Almighty, making you to be upgrading to reach to the divine stations of forgiveness and mercies of Allah Almighty, Allah to be pleased from you and to dress you by the end of month of Ramadan by what He is addressing to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to Sahaba. Not to make all your day busy working so that to arrange 3, 4, 5 types of food, and to break your fast in summer sack and in all kind of nice drinks, and then after you pray Maghrib, or people, plenty of them, they don't pray, quickly they sit and they will try to eat several dishes of food, varieties, different type, different kind, and not enough, then they will have desserts, sweets, everything, until they are so full, no more even able to pray Isha or Taraweeh. And half of the fasting is by praying Taraweeh. And for this Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the one who fasts without praying Taraweeh or the 5 prayers, this fast will not be accepted by Allah Almighty. Because a whole month of Ramadan is one obligatory. Once is one, considered one. While every prayer from the 5 prayers equal to whole month of Ramadan. And for this, the one who miss prayers in months of Ramadan or not praying, especially now, all these young ones, or our sons, all they fast but they don't pray. Even how much you force them to pray, no one even knows the Qibla from where, never facing the Qibla. And they fast. Even though Allah Almighty, for the sake of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He is forgiving and He is patient enough, but also is not giving them successful life. And for this you will see plenty of people, they be complaining, they have burdens, they have problems, no successful life, sickness, miseries over them, because you are not respecting Allah Almighty and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the teaching of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all these hadiths of Rasulullah. All the teaching of Rasulullah was based on, in the first, in the earlier time of Islam, that don't forget Allah Almighty, Allah will not forget you. When you are in your prosperity, when you are wealthy, when you are rich, when you are young, when you have health and power, don't forget Allah Almighty. Because then when you will be old, when you will be poor, you lost your wealth, or when you sickness coming over you, getting older and older, then if you were not forgetting Allah Almighty, Allah will not forget you. Allah will carry from you all burdens, will carry from you all sufferings, will carry from you all sickness, and He will bless you all the time to be well-being, in prosperity, because when you were in prosperity, you didn't forget Allah Almighty. When now you are in need for the helping of Allah Almighty, Allah, you will find Him beside you, helping you, and not forgetting you. But when you are young and you are powerful and you forget Allah Almighty, you think Allah will remember you when you are old or when you are in need to Allah Almighty. And Allah saying in the Holy Quran, the one who forgets me, I will forget him. نسوا الله فنسيهم, the ayat. نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم. They forgot Allah Almighty, forget them. In another ayah, Allah saying they forgot Allah Almighty. Allah Almighty even they make them to forget themselves. How you forget yourself? You forget yourself by forgetting the way leading you to happiness, to Jannah, to Allah Almighty. He will take off blessing and hidayah, guidance from you, and make you to be busy day and night collecting from the money of this ruined life, which nothing you are going to take with you to grave, and then you will miss the way of zikrullah, miss the way of Allah Almighty, and you will be following shaitan. This is how you will forget yourself until Allah will wake you up by the angel of death when he's coming and to take your soul forcefully. Then you will be wakened up and then, oh Allah Almighty, please send me back to make goodness. He say, no, finish. And Allah saying, the one who he do in his life goodness, he will be rewarded by goodness. هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. These are holy ayat of Allah Almighty. Goodness, rewarded by goodness. Badness, rewarded by badness. هل جزاء الإساء إلا الإساء. If you make badness to Allah Almighty, Allah is not, you are not going to reach to Allah Almighty or to harm Him. But you are making badness to Allah Almighty, mean you are making badness for yourself, because you are going to be rewarded by Allah Almighty by badness and suffering and punishment to clean you and to make you to remember Allah Almighty, even though no one is remembering Allah Almighty. And the one whom he wants to remember Allah Almighty and to know that how to be always not forgetting Allah Almighty, every day go visit hospitals, visit the sick people, the patient in the hospital, see how much they are in pain, how much they are suffering, and inform yourself, if I am going to forget Allah Almighty and to miss the way of Allah Almighty, I am going to be one day dressed like them from Allah Almighty by sickness, by suffering, by miseries, and then no one will take me from this state except Allah Almighty. But Allah Almighty is not going to take you from this state, because Allah wants to pure you, to clean you, and the cleaning of Allah Almighty to the one of us is very difficult. No one to test Allah Almighty, no one to try to test Allah Almighty. If you want to test Allah Almighty, it will be something harmful, it will be something so untolerated from the one of us, because we are creation and Allah is a creator. Allah is God and we are shadows of the God, nothing. So don't try to test Allah Almighty. All your life try to respect Allah Almighty. Try to be always respecting, worshipping, praying, never to forget in one second or less a second Allah Almighty. And for this Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the most beloved to Allah Almighty, sealed of Prophet, all his dua was, اللهم لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة العين ولا أقل من ذلك. Oh Allah Almighty, don't leave us to ourselves even less than a blink of an eye or less than it. Because if you left even us less than a blink of an eye to ourselves, we are finished. We will be lost, and then all miseries and suffering will come over us. And for this, the one man or woman whom they are saying that they are in problem because they forgot Allah Almighty, because they forgot the way of Allah Almighty, they forgot Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they forgot love of Rasulullah, they forgot love of Ahlul Bayt al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they forgot love of Sahaba, they forgot love of Awliyaullah. Always they were busy their life only with useless things, running after their children to live in prosperous living. When they are free, meeting and talking on the back of each other, all relatives enemy to each other, all the family enemy to each other, all of them attacking each other, no one is satisfied with the other. And how then you will say, we love Allah Almighty and Rasulullah? You don't realize that all of you, families, relatives, neighbors, you are, all of you, children of Adam alayhi salam, you are honored by Allah Almighty, and Allah Almighty ordering us, Rasulullah teaching us to serve each other, to love each other, to be all of us one body, to be all of us whatever we own, to give to the other. And for this Rasulullah said in the hadith, no iman, no iman, no iman of if anyone, he doesn't love for his brotherhood and humanity, man or woman, to love for them and to like for them and to wish for them what he like and wish to himself. If he doesn't like for every mu'min and mu'mina, every Muslim and Muslimah, what he loves to himself and to his family, and never giving himself anything until he will feel that all whom they around him, from neighbors or relatives, they have been given the same thing, not specializing anything for himself, but sharing all the ummah of Rasulullah with him in everything Allah addressed to him, then Allah will choose him to be a chosen one, dressed by and crowned by the greatest name of Allah Almighty, to be representing Allah Almighty, to be representing Rasulullah, to be all the time supported by the spirituality of Rasulullah, to be always and all the time under the divine, the shining lights of the holy face of Allah Almighty. But the one who try to hide everything from the others, try to make himself prosperous, and even his mother or father, they are in a very bad situation, and he doesn't care, than his neighbor, than the all around them of the nation of Rasulullah, even they have nothing to eat, and he is barbecuing meat and eating so well with his family. Then, however, he will say, Allah, Allah, Allah gives me, Allah not giving him anything. Allah doesn't like this bad manners from the one of us. In the time of the Sahaba, the Rasulullah, Maulana say, there was a mother, all mothers, they love their sons, especially if they have only one son or two sons, and they like him to get married. They try their best to engage him, to marry him, so that they will see his grandchildren. Like this, the mother will give all her soul for her son. And so she was always insisting on her son, also Sahaba, to get married. Oh my mother, I am serving you, I don't want to get married, let me serving you, I am serving Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and serving the nation, the Sahaba. Let me, I am very happy. No, no, you must get married, you must get married, you must get married, you must get married. Then it was like as if she is making it a zikr on the beats, marry, 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 marry. Then this son going telling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told him, get married. If your mother will be happy, get married. Also my sunnah to get married. So she chose for him a good wife, relative, cousin for her, and she was her auntie, and she was very happy living together and like this in the same house, and so happy with each other, Maulana say. Then after years and years, a sickness came to her son and he was dying, passing away, but the soul was not leaving his body. Still the soul in his body, not leaving the body. Even the angel of death forcefully want to take it, not accepting to go out of the body of the son. Then the mother went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his wife, and they told, Ya Rasulullah, he is Allah as if punishing him, making his soul to be kept in his body, and there is too much suffering, and not angel of death able to take it forcefully from him. How much he is taking forcefully, not coming. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came, he visited him. Rasulullah, he knows everything. Then he told his mother, are you pleased from him? Yes, Ya Rasulullah, he's my only son. I am so pleased from him, from his wife, from his family. Then Rasulullah told him, if you are pleased from him, why his soul is not coming out? Means there is something in your heart, make him to be under this punishment from Allah Almighty. No, nothing in my heart, Ya Rasulullah. Anyone can lie to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Say the truth. Oh woman, I am Rasulullah asking you, not ordinary one asking you. Wallahi, nothing, Ya Rasulullah, in my heart, I love him too much. He told her, if you are going to leave him like this, he is forever not going to die, and the soul will be stuck in his body as a punishment. Tell me the true thing. To Allah, nothing, I love him, but there is something small, nothing important in my heart. What is this thing? Tell me. Even you consider it nothing, tell me what is. She told them, this mother was telling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that my son, he used to bring nice food, he used to work and bringing so nice food to the house he was giving, and then he used to hide from me another kinds of foods which his wife liked them, not giving them for me a little bit to eat. So this was in my heart harming me. Why he's doing like this? What I am going to eat? One mouthful from it. Why he's hiding the good food to take it to his wife and giving me the ordinary food whom they all eating in the house? This only, Ya Rasulullah, was in my heart. He told her, then forgive him. If you forgive him, Allah will make the soul to go out of it. She said, no, I'm not going to forgive him. He told her, if you don't forgive him, because she said, he made my heart to be broken by this, I am not going to forgive him. Then he say, if you don't forgive him, he's going to Jahannam. And he will be punished by Allah Almighty. Only for this small thing, how much we do it, and we are not feeling. And then she said, I am not going to forgive. Forgive, not forgive. Forgive, not forgive. Forgive, not forgive. Then Rasulullah ordering the Sahaba, bring for me wood They bring wood for Rasulullah, they cut some of the trees, branches, and they make a big fire, and he said, bring this boy, put in the fire. I am going to burn. No, ya Rasulullah, don't burn him. He said, if I burn him here, I will save him from Jahannam to be burned there, because you are not forgiving him. No, I forgive him, but don't burn him. Look how the mother loved her sons, while the son never caring for his mother, especially nowadays children. And there was one whom his father and mother telling him, we want you to be in the right way, to be in the way of Allah Almighty, you must get married, don't be following friends. Don't say so, if you are going to say so against me. He was threatening them, scolding them, I will run away from the house. And they were very rich, giving him whatever he wants, and it's not only 18, 19 years, now he is threatening them, and also if he can to beat them, he will beat them, doesn't care also. So she forgive them from her heart, then the soul was coming up out of the body. And this one story from thousands of stories of what we are facing every day, and we are not taking as a good teaching from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sharia, and the ulama not interested anymore in making the ummah to be practicing the Sharia of Rasulullah. All what they are, the ulama now interested, how to earn money, how to get money from the people, how to be famous, how to be well known, and like this, Allah making them, how many they are getting money, how much Allah dressing them to look like miskin, poor ones, because Allah taking off barakah from their money. And anyone who is not following teaching of Rasulullah according to Sharia, Allah will take all barakah from him and all blessing, and make his life, even his so rich, to be always suffering and miseries and burdens and sickness over him. While the ulama, this is the teaching of ulama, the awliya teaching is different totally. The spiritual teaching of practicing worshipping and worship Allah Almighty and fasting Allah Almighty due to awliya is something which is related by your intention, by your soul, by your spiritual practicing to Allah Almighty, not related to your physical body. Because the physical body is built up from a satanic Kareen ego, which is in with you, and everything you will do, it will be poisoned by this nafs, by this ego, by this Kareen of you, and then malaika will not raise all what you are praying or fasting or doing to the divine presence of Allah Almighty. And for this Allah Almighty ordering us, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullah wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. O mu'mins, be always aware from Allah Almighty by all means, and be with a truth one, be with a sadiq, be with a siddiq, with a one who is Allah Almighty pleased from him, and he is a truth one to guide everyone to reach to Allah Almighty and Rasulullah by not worshipping, by cleaning him, by tolerating from him all his burdens, all his miseries, all whatever coming from him as unrespect to Allah Almighty. This Sadiq, this truth one will carry, and then this one will be progressing spiritually to be coming high and high in the divine presence of awliya, of Allah Almighty. And for this Allah Almighty ordering everyone of mu'mins, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O mu'min, be aware from Allah Almighty, dressed by taqwa, to be aware from Allah Almighty, and take a sadiq, to be guided by a one whom I am pleased from him, whom is a chosen one to me and to my beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. with the one who was fulfilling what he promised me in the day of promises and covenant, and is the truth one. He is a one whom never lying on me or cheating me or betraying me. This order from Allah Almighty to every moment, and every believer who will be connecting himself with such a one, never he will see in his life suffering or burdens or any problem, except all means of blessings from Allah Almighty, prosperity, health, wealth, spiritual wealth, mercy and forgiveness and barakah, and from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the same, and shafa'. And for this, the one of us, the teaching of awliyaullah is how much you will be so loving Allah Almighty, so loving Rasulullah, guided by a one whom is a chosen one by Allah Almighty to lead you to reach to Allah Almighty, then Allah will bless you by all means of prosperity. But when you are choosing yourself to be the guidance of yourself, you're choosing your ego to be guiding you, you choose your books to guide you, you choose what you have knowledge to guide you, then the first one who chose the books, the one who first chose his knowledge to guide him, the one who chose himself to guide himself by himself, because he knows everything. Holy Quran, I know it, memorize it. Hadith, I know it, memorize it. Sharia, I know. Why to take a one to guide me? No need. Only I go directly to Allah Almighty. Then Allah Almighty ordered him, make sujood to Adam alayhi salam. Say no, it's not written in the Holy Quran to make sujood to Sayyidina Adam. It's not in all books to make sujood other than Allah Almighty. I will not do. This is the teaching I am getting from myself. What Allah did for him, He cursed him, and He kicked him out, and He told them, I am not in need for all your worshipping. Go out, you are cursed, and you are shaitan today of Yawm al-Qiyamah. And everyone who follows this way, he will be a shaitan. For that's the first to be shaitan and dressed by satanic curse from Allah Almighty. They are the Wahhabi, Salafi, Jama'at al-Tabligh, all misguided party whom they are following shaitan in their worshipping to Allah Almighty. Not the non-believers. The non-believers, perhaps Allah will send guidance for them, hidayah, and they will be going in good and well guided. By these people, never they will be hidayah for them, because already they know everything, but they are challenging Allah Almighty and telling him, we don't want to take Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the awliya inheritings of Rasulullah to guide us to you. We want directly to come to you. As Shaitani said, I don't want Adam to be the guidance for me, I am directly coming to you. Allah cursed them and kicked them out. And like this they will be cursed and kicked out, and Allah promising them that He will reward them Yawm al-Qiyamah. إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرَكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. All these hypocrites, they are going to be rewarded to be in the lowest, deepest valley of Jahannam Yawm al-Qiyamah. And all their worshipping and all their life in this physical state, only suffering, burden, sickness, and all means of curses from Allah Almighty. So to say, to save ourselves, the best thing is always to be well connected with the one whom Allah loves and Rasulullah, whom is inheriting a secret from Rasulullah, whom He is a truth one who can carry from you all your burdens and purify and clean your heart and your worshipping, and to make them to be ascended by malaika to the divine presence of Allah Almighty. These are awliyaullah, and their teaching of awliyaullah is totally different from teaching of ulama. Teaching of ulama, they put the load of a camel on a donkey, the load of a donkey on a goat, then it will break their back. And like this, they will be very strict, putting load and load over you until you be totally finished. While the teaching and the practicing of awliya, they will dress you to do so few things which by them they are able to carry you and present you to the shafa of Rasulullah, and Rasulullah make shafa for you in the divine presence of Allah Almighty, and you will be well accepted. Anyone will be saved Yawm al-Qiyamah by his deeds, by his worshipping, even all of them they are good deeds, or he will be saved by shafa of Rasulullah. Anyone will be accepted by Allah Almighty without shafa of Rasulullah. All the prophets, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, all these big prophets, all of them in their life, and when they were passing away, and in the day of judgment, they cannot be saved unless Rasulullah will make shafa'ah for them. And for the sake of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah forgave Sayyidina Adam when he commit and eat from the forbidden tree in Jannah. Allah dropped him down to earth, and he was in your country and surrendered. He descended here in this holy land, Adam speak, and Allah Almighty then accepting his repent, because he was asked, "Oh Allah Almighty, for the sake of the most beloved to you, Muhammadun Rasulullah, forgive me." Allah forgave them and asked them, "From where you know Muhammad, ya Adam?" And, "Oh Allah Almighty, when you blow from your soul into me, and the soul was entering into my body and rest to all my body until my eyes opened, and I was see all the throne, all the heavens, all the paradises, all the trees of paradises, all the ladies of paradises, everything Allah created in paradises, all of them they were decorated by Allah writing on their forehead or on the leaves, on the doors of the Jannah, on the throne, all the throne of Allah Almighty, all decorated by La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. I know that he is the beloved Muhammadun Rasulullah, that you make his name to be connected with your name. You are God, creator, and to connect a created one, his name with your name must be the most precious, valuable one, the most precious one to you, the most beloved to you, that you connect his name with your name. And for this I ask you by his name. Allah told them, he is going to be one of your descendants, one of your son, but he is the Lord of you, Adam alayhi salam. He is the Lord of you, Adam, and the Lord of all your children. He is the one, and he is the godly one, representing me in all divine kingdoms, godly kingdoms of Allah Almighty. He is representing me in all children of Adam alayhi salam. He is the Khalif of me, and by him I accept everyone if you make shafa'ah for him. And since you are asking for his sake, and he is present and accepting your dua and making shafa'ah in my divine presence for his sake and the shafa'ah for you, ya Adam, I accept your tawbah, your repenting, and I going to dress you by worshipping and dress you by words to praising, glorifying Allah Almighty in this earth, in your life, and for all your children, if they do by it, they will be dressed by shafa'ah of Rasulullah, and I will save them in this life, in grave, and in Yawm al-Qiyamah. Without the shafa'ah of my beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no one of all the prophets, no one of all the nations, no one of the nation of Rasulullah, no one of the creation, even Malaika, like Sayyidina Jibreel, Mikael, Israfil, Azrael, no one will be saved by Allah Almighty without the shafa of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is Rasulullah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in every period of time, is appointing inheritance for him, assistant for him, whom they are assisting him in carrying the nation, the ummah of Rasulullah. And if these assistants don't make shafa for the ones whom they are responsible for them and guiding them, no one will be saved, and Rasulullah will make shafa for him. For example, now this period of time, for 124,000 awliyaullah whom they are living now, and all their murids, and 45 kutubs, and all their murids, and all the nation of Rasulullah, and all children of Adam alayhi salam, with their ulama, with all their worshipping, all their whatever, umrah, hajj, whatever they are doing, if all these not well being addressed by Shafa of Sultanul Awliya of this period of time, no one of them will be addressed by Shafa of Rasulullah, and no one of them will be saved by Allah Almighty. All of them, they will be under the punishment, under the suffering, under miseries, and all of them, they will be treated like ones whom they are disobeying Allah Almighty. Even they are awliya, even they are worshippers, even they are mu'mins, even they are mu'minah. And for this, the one who represents Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in every period of time, if he is not day and night observing and watching every one of the awliya and their murids, and all the children of Adam alayhi salam, and all the nation of Rasulullah, to serve them, to well dress them by his shafa'ah, and to complete their worshipping and to perfect whatever they are doing, never they will be dressed by shafa'ah of Rasulullah, and never they will be ascend to the divine presence of Allah Almighty. Like this awliyaullah serving the nation of Rasulullah. And then you will see every one of us always carrying burdens, carrying problems, carrying all kinds of suffering, because the majority of the nation now of Rasulullah, the majority of the ummah of Rasulullah, even all of them, 99.99, to endless 99, no one ever of them is following awliyaullah or sultanul awliya, or following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or following the teaching of Rasulullah. Ask any one of your sons, ask, let him recite Holy Quran. He knows how to recite Holy Quran. Anyone from you or your sons know how to read Holy Quran? One day bring one, he told me, my son, he knows to recite Holy Quran, very good. I thought, we will test him, bring him. I brought the Holy Quran and I opened the easiest, which everyone every day recited, whom they reciting. And I opened for him Surah Yasin al-Sharif. And I told him, recite. And he was reciting. How he recited? Yasin. Yes, he said. Instead to say Yasin, he said yes, because it is like yes written. Instead to say Yasin. For Alif Lam Mim, he say Alam. Never knowing to say Alif Lam Mim. These small letters, ayat, he was not able. How is going to recite big ayats and deep ayat? Even anyone of us never opening the Holy Quran, and for this Rasulullah, he was complaining to Allah Almighty, oh Allah Almighty, my nation, my ummah, they were totally ignoring the Holy Quran, and they are ruining it, making it to be ruined, and as a ruined thing, and they making it to be mahjur, neglected. Only they are putting it in their libraries or houses for protection or as a decoration, not more than this. And the same hadith of Rasulullah. And now for example, mu'mins whom they are following little bit awliyaullah, now bring to say, Ya Nabi Salam Alaikum, they memorize it by heart. praising Sayyidina Usman, Waliullah Qutbi Sayyidina, all memorize. Tell them, tell me some hadith of Rasulullah. No, nothing. Some ayah, no, nothing. These are the good ones. The bad ones, the one whom they are saying we are the Ummah of Rasulullah nation, or our children, even all your children, tell them what you memorize from the Holy Quran, nothing. What you memorize from hadith of Rasulullah, nothing. Perhaps some of them, one or two hadiths, they will say it, but also wrong. And some ayat also they cannot complete it. Tell them, tell me a song of Michael Jackson. Quickly, all his album of songs, they will tell you direct coming. And from their heart, and they will be living. Tell them about this one or that one, this woman or that man, whom they are the singers and whom they are very nice voices. Very well, they know all their songs. For this, the one who loves the other, first thing he will be memorizing what this one is dressing and giving as teaching. And so all people now dressing and memorizing all these of whom they are well musicians, they put this earphone, and even they are studying now, they tell me pray for them, they are A-level exams, and all of them earphone in their ears and playing the recorder, and they are studying in front of father and mother. And then they want successful results. And they are making all their attention for what is running from musics, soft musics, heavy musics, classical musics, and all these singings of all these singers, all they are memorizing it. Now for younger than this, now they must not make for them examinations in the schools in geography or history or mathematics or physics or chemistry. No need for all this. They must make for them tests and midterm and the final in all these CDs of the PlayStations, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox, all these nowadays, what is they are always busy playing on either on the PlayStation and the TV or on their mobile telephone and the telephone. If they make exam for them, they will be the first top, all A stars they will take. And if they make for them exams in mathematics and physics and chemistry, please, Prophet, pray for a good result. That's a good result. Good result. You are a crazy woman. Crazy man, coming to me. You want to teach me things which I am graduating people from it. And like this now, all people, they want to follow totally their desires, and they want to have successful life from Allah Almighty. And Allah Almighty is saying, be careful, my people, and Rasulullah, be careful, my ummah. One hand can carry only one watermelon. Anyone can carry with one hand 2, 3, 5 watermelons. Try. Bring 2, 3 watermelons, put in one hand. You can carry? You cannot. Only one watermelon. Either you will carry dunya or you will carry akhirah. When you can carry 3, 4, 5 watermelons, when you will be able, you are well perfected, then Allah will give you, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the awliya responsible for you, they will give you a big bag or a sack. You can put as much as you want watermelon, how you have muscles, then by this bag you can carry all these watermelons. Until you reach the station, your hand can carry only one watermelon. And for this you must choose either to be in the way of Allah Almighty, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, awliyaullah, and to be then making business and making studying, and the blessing of them, you will be very successful, and your business successful. And if you want to be behind the shaitan and to be forgetting Allah Almighty and Rasulullah and to be in the way only of your desires, and whatever studying, whatever business, whatever you are doing, it will be only miseries and suffering and burdens on you. This is the main thing to understand, that the way of shaitan leads you to miseries, the way of desires and to please yourself leads you to miseries, to suffering, to burdens, and the way of Allah Almighty, the way of Rasulullah, the way of awliyaullah lead you to have prosperous life, health, wealth, prosperity, successful, and you will be from the tops of the people in between your community. And you can try, if you don't believe what Maulana is bringing to us, telling us, you can try, make it an experiment for you. Try 40 days to be obeying Allah Almighty and Rasulullah and awliya and following their way, and see what Allah will bless you from prosperity and successful life, health and wealth and blessing and barakah. And if you want, you can for another 40 days try to be following shaitan and doing whatever your desires, and shaitan advising you and teaching you. See what you will be dressed in the 40 days. And then you choose in which way you want to continue. But be careful, in these 40 days, not the angel of death will come and take your soul. If you are in the way of Allah Almighty, you will be in neighborhood to Allah Almighty, if the angel of death takes you. But if you are experimenting in the way of shaitan in these 40 days, and the angel of death come and take your soul, then you are going to be rewarded by all the valleys of Jahannam and all the punishment which Allah promised on the Holy Quran. May Allah Almighty forgive us. And I want to continue about grand sheikhs, their spiritual life. But before I am leaving, I said this advice much more, Maulana is sending it, it is much more benefiting for all of them to make it as earrings and to always to carry it with them, and everyone to think well where to put his footstep, in which way, either to put his foot on the way of Allah Almighty or to put his foot in the way of shaitan. A'azan Allah. Allah Almighty always send hidayah and guidance to make us always putting the 2 feet in the way of Allah Almighty and Rasulullah and awliya, and taking a sadiq, a truth one, Sultan of awliya, Maulana Shaykh Nazim, to be our guidance, our soul, our spiritual and physical imam and guidance to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to Allah Almighty. And Allah Almighty, oh Allah Almighty, never make us to be misguided by shaitan and to be in the way of shaitan, neither that than a blink of an eye or less. Make us always to be in taqwa, in the way of Sultan al-Awliya, way of Rasulullah, in the way of Allah Almighty, and bless us by forgiveness and blessing and mercies. The one who will be like this, Maulana say, for all of you and for everyone who is listening, he will see never in his life burdens or problems or suffering or sickness. Allah will take off all these from him, and Maulana Sultan al-Awliya will carry everything from him and bless him. And the one who is following his shaitan and his desires and thinking that he's a big awliya, then all his life is going to be worse and burdens and suffering and curses. Never he will be blessed by Maulana Shaykh Nazim. Even he is claiming he is a murid of Maulana, really he is not a murid of Maulana. Not everyone making bay'ah with Maulana is a murid to Maulana. Maulana say, I am making bay'ah for millions of people, at least to give them some, like a nice perfume that Yawm al-Qiyamah will come with a nice smell. But the one whom really stamped by bay'ah from Sultan al-Awliya, Mawlana Shaykh Nazim Qaddas Allah Sirruh, are the ones whom their heart is like an ocean, their heart so humble, their heart so full in love for everyone, so respecting everyone. Even the dog of the Shaykh they respect. Even the animals in the street they respect. Even they respect anything created by Allah Almighty for the sake of Allah Almighty, because seeing everything, every created thing, that it is created by the hands of Allah Almighty and created by Allah Almighty, and everything is existing and created by the rights of Allah Almighty. Nothing created without to be dressed by the rights of Allah Almighty. And this respect and this humbleness and this love will be for the one who is in everyone. And who is in everyone? Who is the one in everyone? Allah Almighty. Who is the one in, who is the all in all? Allah Almighty. And this respect then will goes to Allah Almighty, to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to awliyaullah. And by this you will save yourself. But if you don't like or love anything, which you love it for yourself, to your neighbor, to your in brotherhood or sisterhood in humanity, you love everything to yourself, never sharing anything with anyone, only for me, this for me, Allah give it to me, then Allah will go throw you with whatever giving to you in the deepest valley of Jahannam. And the one who make himself and whatever Allah giving him to be shared with all the nation of Rasulullah, with all mu'mins and mu'minah, and loving for everyone to have as Allah giving him. And if can help anyone by what Allah giving him to help him, then this one will be addressed by love from Allah Almighty, love from Rasulullah and awliya, and Allah will make him to be wealthy one, prosperous one, and chosen one to Allah Almighty and Rasulullah and to awliyaullah. May Allah forgive us and mercy us. Allah, 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 Aziz, Allah, 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 Kareem, Allah. And we are your weakest servant, O Allah Almighty. Bless us by servanthood, by sincerity, by love, to be guided by you, to be in your way, Ya Allah, to be divinely one, godly one, Ya Allah. Bless us by your rights. Bless us by sincerity to Rasulullah, love to Rasulullah, well guided by Rasul, by hidayah of Rasulullah, by love of Rasulullah, and to be blessed by lives of Rasulullah. Bless us, Allah Almighty, to be sincere with Sultan al-Awliya, Mawlana Shaykh Nazim, and Grand Shaykh, and all Grand Shaykh and Siddiq, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Osman, Sayyidina Ali, Sayyidina Fatima, and Bayt al-Nabi, Sahaba of Rasul. Bless us by love and sincerity to them. Bless us by their guidance and hidayah, and make us sincere lovers and followers and in their way. Bless us by reaching time of Sayyidina al-Mahdi alayhi salam, and to be sincere followers, Sayyidina al-Mahdi, sincere murid, sincere supporter, sincere lover. Bless us by sincerity and love and respect and humbleness to Allah Almighty, and bless us to be real murids to Mawlana Shaykh Nazim, not to be imitated one, a plastic one, but to be real one, real murids, stamped by you, Allah Almighty, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by Sultan al-Awliya, Mawlana Shaykh Nazim, and then Shaykh by Sayyidina Shah al-Naqshband, and by Sahib al-Zaman, Sayyidina al-Mahdi alayhi salam. وَمِنَ اللَّهِ التَّوْفِيقِ. Now we pray Asr, then you will see after Asr, everyone will tell me, I have a problem, I have a something to consult. I have a burden. I have problem. I want to discuss it. I told you now all the solutions. I told you how to be out of all your problem, and still no one understanding, and I am not understanding also. We spend 1 hour relaxing, sleeping, and now everyone will, I want to talk with you something important. I have an important problem. I must consult with you. As 1 hour I am speaking. And if they want more than this, everyone to carry Allah to give him prosperity, to solve his problem, and to dress him by shafa of Rasulullah and forgiveness of Allah Almighty, and Allah take off punishment from, because Allah Almighty never I am punishing anyone. When you are in between them, my beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and if you are not available and between them, as in time of Sahaba, I'm not punishing anyone or making him to suffer if he is saying astaghfirullah. And so everyone, no need to consult me or to ask me. Make 3 times ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and Allah to solve all his problem, to take all suffering from him, to take all sickness from him, to cure him. And if he has anything with other and they don't want to give him his rights, say 300 astaghfirullah. 300 on the intention that Allah Almighty, by the istighfar, to take off all this punishment from him and to change the heart of these people to serve him, and Allah to solve all his problem. The medicine of it, 3 shahada, 300 astaghfirullah, then present them to Rasulullah, give them as a gift to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Second thing, also for rizqi, for prosperity, for successful in the school, for all whatever you face in this life or business, anything, 100 times Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah saying in the Holy Quran, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, the one who will be aware from Allah. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, Allah will make for him open doors. يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ, and Allah will send rizqi to him from where he is not thinking this rizqi will come. Allah will send malaika, special malaika of rizqi, from what you not even you are imagining, from wow, come to me, I don't know. وَيَرْزُقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. This one. Then Allah continuing the ayat, what is saying? وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Over this, if you want more, to be prosperous and to be more given from Allah Almighty without any without any difficulties, or to have any facing any miseries or suffering. If you are not satisfied by the first one, say the 100 times Rasulullah, then say tawakkaltu ala Allah 100 times. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. And the one who say tawakkaltu ala Allah, Allah saying, continuing the ayah, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلى اللَّهِ, saying 100 times tawakkaltu ala Allah, then Allah Almighty will be his sponsoring you by himself, and Rasulullah by himself, and Allah will appoint the Sultan of Awliya and the Awliya of that time to sponsor you and to solve all your problems. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. And so 100 times tawakkaltu ala Allah. And the one who has whispering, spelling, black magic, all coming into him, 100 times لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. 100 times لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. And 7 times to put his hand over his head or in his heart, سلام قولا من رب رحيم, سلام قولا من رب رحيم, سلام قولا من رب رحيم, سلام قولا من رب رحيم. 7 times. For this medicine, for everyone has a problem also, or the sickness, or the suffering, or any badness, and or he has for some reason, people attacking him, making black magic, stealing him, taking his properties falsely, making him suffering, not returning to him what they owe him. He says 70 times every day, إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين. إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين. And the one who wants spiritual progress, the one who wants to be spiritually progressing and upgrading and ascending to the divine presence of Allah Almighty, then always make connection with Sultan al-Awliya Rabita, with Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, with Allah Almighty, and by this connection, during this connection, to make 100 times before sunrise in dawn or before sunset, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with connection. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. 100 times. Maulana said the one who do like this in this time, he doesn't need any seclusion, he doesn't need any kind of practicing, hard practicing or worshipping. This Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim enough to be guidance for you through Sultan al-Awliya Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that Allah will ascend you and make you in the highest level of Awliyaullah, and then you will be, after 40 days, you first will be dressed by dreams, then by opening and visions, and then by a real ilham to come to your heart by saying 100 times in dawn time or before sunset, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah. And the one who wants Allah to pray on him and the Malaika, and to be under the prayers of Allah Almighty and prosperity, and Allah to take him from darkness to light, and light in his heart, and light in his way, and his life, and his grave, and the second life, and day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, and no questioning for him. Every, before sunrise, in dawn time, before sunset, 100 times, Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim, Astaghfirullah, 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 100 times. The one who wants to be cured from all diseases, the one who wants to be cured from all kind of suffering, the one who wants to be dressed by calmness, the one who wants to be dressed by peaceful heart, and his chest and his heart to be peaceful dressed, calmness, no fighting inside him, no thoughts coming to him, to be well relaxing, to be in very high mood of relaxation, then what to say? 100 times Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allah Almighty is saying, O my beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, pray on them. Your prayer will descend peace to their heart, calmness, make them to be in peaceful mood and relaxing. Totally relaxed, and their physical body will be well-being. All sickness and sufferings, even cancer, will be taken from them. Nothing will remain in their body if they keep to say every day 100 times Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallam. And if there is wars, if there is bombs, if there is big war, atomic bombs, all kind of bad events, dangerous events, the one who wants to be safe, he must shelter himself to the cave of Rasulullah, to the boat of Rasulullah. As in the time of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, they sheltered themselves to the boat of Sayyidina Nuh, and they were safe. It was sailing. Allah Almighty was the pilot. And the one now who wants to be sheltering himself from the fire of this war, from the fires of these bullets and atomic bombs, from the fire of all kind of weapons, from the fire of all kind of sufferings and miseries and all bad events and cause or whatever trouble come over the head of the one, from bad reports to the government or anyone want to harm another one, at least 5 times, morning, noon, Asr time, Maghrib time, evening, and before he sleep, he will say 1 time only. على أشرف العالمين سيدنا محمد الصلوات، على أفضل العالمين سيدنا محمد الصلوات، على أكمل العالمين سيدنا محمد الصلوات، صلوات الله تعالى وملائكته والرسل وجميع خلقه على محمد وعلى آل محمد عليه وعليهم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. رضي الله تبارك وتعالى عن ساداتنا أصحاب رسول الله أجمعين، وعن التابعين بهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعن أئمة المجتهدين الماضين، وعن العلماء المتقين، وعن أولياء الصالحين، وعن مشايخنا في الطريقة النقشبندية العلية، قدس الله تعالى أرواحهم الزكية ونور الله تعالى أرواحهم وبارك، أعاذ الله تعالى علينا مكان ذات الدائم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. Then الفاتحة. If you don't know it, Khalif, he can from Baytul Mal print all these, which we now saying, all these medicines, print them and to give them to everyone of you, and to then read them every day. This one time, morning, noon, Asr time, Maghrib time, Isha time, before you sleep. And as I told you, 3 Shahada and 300 Astaghfirullah, never teach it to your children, teach it to your sons and daughters, teach it to everyone, old one, young one. Allah will protect you, no punishment will come over you, no miseries or unsuccessful life will come over you, no business will be bankrupt for you, nothing except prosperity if you say 3 Shahada and 300 Astaghfirullah. And the other, I say 7 Ayat al-Kursi, Salam Qawlan Bi-Rabbi. And there is only one thing important also, which make the one to be always, all whatever he's wishing, what he wants from Allah Almighty to be fulfilled, what he wants to pray Allah to accept from him, whatever he is wishing according to make Allah Almighty, to be something which Allah is pleased, and Rasulullah not to ask, for example, to make a will that Allah to kill this one or to make this one dead or like this, that Allah will not look at him. But for example, he has a burden on himself, he has a problem, he has a complaint from anyone of harm from neighbors, from any like this, so that Allah to protect him and to make him in a fence where no one can harm him, and to be well protected and well accepted by Allah Almighty, and all his prayers reaching and Allah accepting them and fulfilling all his wishes 40 times every day, also before Maghrib by 1 hour, and try it and see 40 times. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وسلم صلاة تنجينا بها والمسلمين من جميع الأهوال والآفات، وتقضي لنا بها جميع الحاجات، وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات، وترفعنا بها أعلى الدرجات، وتبلغنا بأقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات. 40 times. You will recite it every day, and Allah Almighty will solve all your problems. Now, the Khalif Haji Izzat, now, he can take them from the recorder, whom they record all this, and for whom they are hearing and listening, and this is the solution for all problems. He can print them, everyone to print them, and to distribute them for all whom they are searching for a spiritual remedy and medicines for their problems and for their spiritualities, or for their physical body states, and all burdens of the physical body, or their life, if it is suffering or problem or facing problem or courts or anything dealing with bad people or with governments or anything, these are the remedy, these are the medication for it, and for black magic, everything I told you of it. And the one who is attacked by jinn attacking him or shaitan, every morning he says 3 times, evening 3 times, and going on himself. Also can print it for everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis samaa'i wa huwa as-sami'ul 'alim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis samaa'i wa huwa as-sami'ul 'alim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis samaa'i wa huwa as-sami'ul 'alim. And everyone, this 3 times morning, 3 times evening, blow it on yourself, finish. You are in defense of Allah Almighty. Then anyone who is scared to have a heart attack or a stroke or a hemorrhage or any physical sickness which paralyze him, be affecting badly on him, only before he sleep, and just when he wake up, even Grand Shaykh used to say it before he making ablution, he used to make tayammum on the mattress and say them and then go to ablution. And then he would say them after ablution. And they say before he sleep, this is the will of Rasulullah, the teaching of Rasulullah to all Sahaba. Because one Sahaba, when he waked up, he saw a stroke coming over him. And Rasulullah told him, you recite them? He said, Ya Allah, I forgot, Ya Rasulullah. I recite morning, but I forgot evening. Well, he told them, for this you got this stroke. Everyone who recite them, but with sincerity, not like only like a tongue, reciting a poetry, memorizing them. As we are praying, we read Fatiha and some ayat, memorizing, like memorizing poetry, like a parrot saying them to Allah, may I finish, Allah. And we run away. As in the mosque Friday, just the khatib on the mimbar giving the khutbah, just praying for the first salam, assalamu alaykum. They don't wait to continue on the second salam. Quickly they will run from the rows to their shoes to their subbat, and they run away from the mosque. Finish, we pray. Allah Almighty is to look at these people. At least wait until the salam, then say astaghfirullah, then pray 2 rak'at sunnah, then go. And this for the sickness and not to be harmed by anything, the remedy, the spiritual Sultan al-Awliya teach us, Mawlana Shaykh Nazim, and this from Rasulullah sallallahu Tubb al-Nawawi, the medical prophet medical treatment. Say 3 times, and dress all your body by them. And you see Mawlana every day making like this, Sultan. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. And then make his turban like this. And أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. And he will 3 times every morning, 3 times before he sleep. No heart attack, no hemorrhage, no stroke, no paralysis, nothing will come over the one who will say them morning, evening, every day. If you missed 1 day, finish. No more malaika appointed to protect you. You cannot say that I said them yesterday or morning. No. With Allah will not work, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Morning, evening. As Sultan al-Awliya teach us, morning, evening, morning, evening. Then the one who got anything, he must blame himself. No more to blame Allah Almighty. Don't say this is the will of Allah Almighty. No, it's not the will of Allah Almighty. This is the free will which Allah gave you, and you are following your shaitan. And well, these are the medicines of all these sickness and problems I gave you. I resume all them to you in this short time. Now we pray Asr, and everyone can have them from the Khalif, who is, can print them from Baitul Mal and distribute them, and how much they cost, you will pay for him the cost, the price to print and other things also. May Allah forgive us and mercy us. Everything is clear for everyone, and inshallah, we pray always, whenever, wherever I pray for all of you, inshallah. I pray this morning, I present all of you to Sayyidina Shaykh Osman Waliullah, to present us to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and always I will be supporting and praying through Sultan al-Awliya Shaykh Nazim Station, to be always supported by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sultan al-Awliya and Awliya and Sahib al-Zaman, by the blessing of Allah Almighty and mercy and forgiveness and pureness of Allah Almighty. Even I am leaving, but Maulana, from his blessing and Rasulullah and Allah Almighty, making my spirituality to be always between you here in this country. May Allah forgive us, mercy us. إلى شرف النبي سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وصحبه أدوات أستاذنا وأستاذ الإسلام الصديقيون سيدنا شيخ عثمان ولي الله قدس سيدنا الفاتحة. شيخ دكتور حسني هي يقول أذان وقاصر ويقول أذان لأن إقامة يوم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله